All right, next we have Danny Dupont, and he's gonna talk about, I think, beneficial insects,
Yeah, mostly.
mostly,
Well,
and then maybe his dad.
how many people in here are bug raisers? You're growing bug food, so everybody is a bug raiser. And we do have a choice. We can raise bugs that like the plant, or raise bugs that like the bugs that like the plant. So I'm gonna be talking about the bugs that eat the bugs that like the plant. And this is that greenhouse that was pretty terrible yesterday on pause slide, because I didn't know he had it. But this was when I had a tomato crop going in there, and my dad asked me to grow the crop. I had done an aeroponic crop, and I was pretty sure I knew what to do when I got into wanting to grow it. So that was the second crop, and he was my sucker picker. He picked all the suckers up. And this was a very successful crop, and it was my first attempt at using bugs to kill bugs. I bought what was called a garden pack from Hydro Gardens, which are now gone out of business. But it's a garden pack of bugs. It had ladybugs, it had some mites that eat mites. And the crop before this one was spider mites that just taken over the whole tomato plant. I didn't do any treatment at that point. This one, I put that on early in the crop, and I added one bug that's not really in my presentation, but I'll talk about it. It's called the pirate bug. It takes care of roots. Now, yeah. Like I said, we can grow different kinds of bugs. And this one we don't really like to grow. But that was on a leaf in my backyard that I found, and I saw it, so I turned it over, and this thing was, the stink bug was, they make a lot of bugs when they lay their eggs. So, and these typically look like little orange assassin bugs when they're small. The only way you can tell is their back legs start spreading, because they're leaf-footed stink bugs. Their back legs start getting wide before they start getting brown. And the assassin bugs never get brown; they just get wings. So, but we're growing all the bugs. We try to. And every time we treat with something that's a broad spectrum bug killer to get rid of the bad bugs, we get rid of the good bugs. Because the good bugs live off of the bad bugs. So we have to tolerate some amount of bad bugs to keep the ones that like to eat the bad bugs. So that's a little crop that I had. It was really an experiment. Trying to help the collectors, the people that were talking to me about what they could do. You'll notice the white bags. That's a black on white plastic bag, and inside of it is a grow bag. And my typical is 3 gallons. That one on the side here is 5 gallon. But the grow bags, you can get them in any size. And if you grow them without the white cover, they get a lot of algae on them. Because this fertilizer water grows algae. So if you put the white bag over it, you don't grow the algae. And plus it stays cooler because the white doesn't heat up like the black. So this is just something that I played around with for about 3 years, and it worked. I lost very few plants in this. I got plenty of blooms. This was the final spot that I did them. I did them on my patio in the shade first. And then, I moved them on to shade in the afternoon spot. And I watered both places twice a day. You cannot overwater a hibiscus plant. You can only underwater or flood it. You can't have water on the roots. And especially with a nursery plant where the roots are only in the bottom 2 inches of pot. So you put 2 inches of water, you just took the whole root system out. So recognizing that you have to be draining. You can water anytime you want. As long as you got water coming out of that container, they're not gonna overwater. They're not gonna lose the roots. Now I learned something this year. I've been playing with a deep water culture lettuce growing system. It's basically 12 inches of water with a pump and aeration to keep the oxygen up in the water. And beautiful white roots, really fast growing. And one day I left the water hose from my house in it to go in, and I needed 3 inches of water. So when I finished, I went back out and water was overflowing. So I put a lot of new water. And I lost the entire root system in about 2 hours. Everything was wilted. Now the roots are in water, so they're not dry. So I don't know how many people water with the hose from your city, with the water from your city, but that water hurts the roots. And some of the people that have reported bad growth on the plant could be water, could be chlorine. So if you're using chlorine water right now, don't. I just switched over off of it. I put a filter on the hose to get the chlorine out, just a carbon filter. So that was a big learning for me. I had never heard that there was a problem with chlorine. Now this little guy here, he's a natural in Louisiana. I first saw him in that greenhouse I showed. Daddy had some plumeria that had bugs on it. And these little guys had settled in on that plumeria and cleaned it up. So, and I was playing with some lettuce at the time, and I would see a spot where a worm got started, and then the worm was gone, everything was gone. These little guys were getting rid of it. Now this is an adult, it has wings. Well, no. Let's see if I can. It's not a real big. But that's an assassin bug. And it looks sort of like the baby of the leaf-footed stink bug. So, but these, and that plant is basil. First time I saw them at my house, they were on basil. I saw one sometimes, two sometimes, and then well, that's a basil plant, you can see. That little guy, not even a fly, a house fly. How the hell does a bug get a house fly? It did, and it don't have any wings, that's the basil. There's no wings on it. So it snuck up on that fly and sucking dry. If you scout for bugs, you'll see a lot of them. So scout for different bugs, and I'll show you a few more. This is one of them that I saw it coming off of one of the bags and going on the ground cloth in that little group that I showed you. It's just crawling on the ground cloth, crawled over to another bag, and went inside. So if you look and see what you see, little things like this will show themselves. You would wonder, how does that bug move around in a crop of plants? You know, I think I talked to someone this morning that had the basil 12 feet away from the from the plants. So you're making these young ones crawl if they want to go to the different plants. And they do like basil. Just another one again on basil. And that's the egg cluster from these little guys. I was watching these two adults. Right here. I was watching these two for a while on the plants, and then I saw this thing. Just noticed it one day, and I started watching it. I went and checked it every afternoon. And well, people say if you see a lot of them together, they're the leaf-footed because they're singular. They don't like grouping. But if you ever see them like this, don't do anything because that's them hatching. There's one of them coming out of the center of that thing. But these guys, they make a lot of themselves and they travel around in your crop. So putting some basil plants mixed in with the plants is what I would do. And then just start watching and seeing. These little guys will be there. And I don't know about Texas or Florida. Has anyone seen those in Florida? Okay. Yeah, they're across the south according to the AI. Now this little guy. They only live a day, so you don't see the adult a whole lot. I saw them in my little greenhouse when I had this aphid infestation that I'm going to show you. So the lacewings, I think I've got their life cycle. Yeah, that's not very good. But the larval stage is where they do the most eating of bugs. Same with ladybugs. I never saw one. Never saw one of their little guys. I only saw the adults, and they would fly around one day and then go. So, but we do have these in our floor. So, and you can buy these actually on Amazon. And these are their. Yeah, if you ever have a leaf that has these little eggs on them, they're up on a little pedestal. Don't kill that plant until they're gone. That'll make some more. But that's the lacewing egg. See? Sometimes they are artistic. And this one is one that I learned a whole lot. This aphid infestation that I had. I've never seen the egg stage, but I've seen the larva, the pupa, and the adult. And one thing to know, the adult doesn't get its spots for a month. So if you see a ladybug that's yellow, no spots, it's less than a month old. In the spring, when I first started having some coming in my greenhouse, most of them were yellow. They had been born during the winter.
What about the ones that are yellow with the dark spots? I've seen those in my yard.
The what?
They're yellow, they look like ladybugs, they're yellow instead of red.
There's a couple of different varieties that we have, and I hadn't really. But they call this one, I think, a lady beetle. I mean, a Japanese lady beetle. I think the orange is the Japanese version. The yellow is? Okay. But I know that little guy is wicked. They go through some. That's one on one of my plants. So that's a good look at it. It's fairly mature, this one. They're small, and the orange is a smaller band, and then it gets bigger as they get older. So I had 3 different sizes in this plant set. And that's the culprits. That's the guys that we like to grow. Actually, we don't like to grow them. We buy food for them. And so that's that. And the little white thing, that's actually a shell that they molt from. They go through several molted shell stages before they grow up. And they're born pregnant, so they make babies from their whole life. They make babies. And they like the taste of hibiscus buds, apparently. Yeah, that was the whole crop. I had 12 plants, and every plant had that kind of coverage on it. Unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of the whole thing. But there's something to note in this picture. There's no bugs, because they've pretty much gotten rid of all the adults. See these little brown circle things? You ever see those on your plants? That's a little fly. And I've got a couple slides on here. Oh, actually, it's the walls. And the adults participated with the larvae that were both going on these when they were cleaning up. And it took 2 weeks for them to completely annihilate the aphids. I didn't have one alive aphid when I finished. I had put 6,000 ladybugs in my backyard that summer. I bought 4 bags of 1,500 each, and I put them in the refrigerator. I always put them in the refrigerator. I talked to someone that had, yeah. No, he had put them out without putting them in the refrigerator. He said they just left. That's what they do. Puts them in dormancy. When they go into dormancy, that means that they're in the winter, and they're basically just going to hang until spring, right? Until it warms up, and then they'll get together, and they'll actually mate. As soon as they come out of dormancy, they mate. I saw 5 pairs when I released those bugs in that greenhouse on those tomatoes. I saw 5 pairs mating. And I called the guy that I ordered them from, and I said, Mike, I ordered some ladybugs, but it looks like you sent me some man bugs too. And he was the one that explained to me why I did the refrigerator. And he said, yeah, no, that's what they do. They mate once they come out of dormancy. So you always want to bring them out of dormancy, and you want to bring them out in the evening so they're not wanting to move around. And put them on the plants and water the plants good. They need some water because they're just coming out of dormancy. But they'll make. I didn't see any on those tomato plants. I didn't see any larvae. Every now and then I'd see a ladybug. But when they made it, they laid eggs, and those guys were on. Now this bloom was fairly infested. And you can see this is an older one than this one. And I had 3, it looked like 3 ages. It takes them 2 to 10 days to hatch. Once they're in 2 to 10 days they make the little guy. I had ordered another pack because I'm looking at these things and nothing's happening, and I don't see any ladybugs in the plants. So I ordered another pack, and before it came in, they showed up. And then I just watched them clean up the whole crop.
Danny, how long do you leave them in the refrigerator?
I was just afraid that.
Well, I did my first one after a week, second 2 weeks, 3 and 4. 4 weeks, you can leave them as long as you want. They
Okay.
survive all winter,
Oh, okay.
in dormancy. So, but yeah, the pack says 1 day up to some amount, so. But that's one of the younger, this little guy over here is one of the younger of the 3 crops that I had. I call them crops because they were 3 different sizes.
I think you can.
Another group, they were group, taking care of these things. And what was interesting is the little wasp, they call it a aphid mummy. The little round things are an aphid mummy. And there's a little wasp that lays its egg in the aphid, and it cocoons the aphid and then hatches out and goes get another aphid. I had a number of those. Actually, I've got a better picture. You can see this would be where you cut the plant off, right? Cut that off and throw it away. Those flowers all bloom. Once I got the aphids off, the flowers started growing, and I had blooms like crazy. I had one thunderstruck that had 9 blooms on it. That day that it finally got out of all those bugs, it had 9 blooms. 3 was usually what I get the most. So, yeah, there's the little, light color. Well, no spots. So that's one of the young ones on the lettuce that I've been growing. This one. Yep. No way that thing survived, right? It actually opened. After they cleaned all of those bugs off of it, it opened. So don't look at your crop as you lost it. Look at it as an opportunity. And if you put out ladybugs, be a little bit patient, and they'll probably show up. If you spray chemicals in there. This is a really little one. So they start out fairly small. And this is that wasp that I was talking about. You can see the cocoons behind it. He's not much bigger than them, so he's not really big. I never saw one. I think I got this one off of, those are cocoons, and I didn't see any holes in them, so they hadn't opened up yet. And you kind of that one up to the upper right, you can see that it was aphid. It's got the legs still, but it just swells up, and it's brown. And the ladybugs didn't eat them. It was interesting. They didn't touch them. Maybe they're working together.
So you're saying that wasp is in kind of a tax?
No, it lays its egg in the aphid.
Oh, and then that.
In the live aphid.
The
Yeah.
aphid.
The egg, when it hatches, it makes that cocoon. It turns the aphid into a cocoon, and then or the aphid mummy, I think is what that. Yeah, you can look them up. They're a known bug, and I didn't know I had them until I saw these.
Do they stick with those little bitty ones? I think I can maybe one stop it, because I have to
Okay.
And I was moving something and I got like a burning on my finger and there was nothing around that could have done that.
Okay.
So maybe they can get you
Well,
too, but.
Yeah, I looked it up. I didn't put the name. I didn't copy the name here.
I think that's an Ichneumon loss.
I think if you put money into the AI today, it'll come up with it and tell you all about it. And it possibly stings. I can't tell you. Okay. Right.
But, yeah, I would just.
Okay, yeah. It'll be an interesting
I
thing
find
to
it
look
was.
up. Now, this one, when I first saw this one, he's on a basil plant that was in my crop. And he was shaking like this. And his back end was stuck and he was shaking the front end. And he was actually attaching to the leaf. And a little while later he stopped. This was when he was bouncing. And then he turned into a cocoon. He attached himself and then he turned into a cocoon. And I watched that guy for a few days. And there's another one on the plant. And this one went on the covering, on the poly. He just, I think I counted 6 of them that way. And this is where the other guy hatched out. I didn't get to catch him when he was coming out.
Dan, what kind of insect is that?
Ladybug.
That's a ladybug?
That's a ladybug cocoon.
Oh, with the cocoon.
Yeah, see. Yeah, that's the actual cocoon. And those little guys, the black ones with the orange back, they made that. They turned into that, they attached themselves to something and became that. So if you see those around, you've got ladybugs propagating in your area.
You just look it up, they don't bite or swing.
Okay.
It wasn't that.
They're just a little bit longer than that brown spot, and that brown spot is. Just one. Oh yeah, the larva and the pupa, that stage is each one. So every one of those that were eating the aphids hooked themselves somewhere. I didn't see them all, but I saw 6 of them. And, no. How many people know what that is?
Ladybug larva.
No.
No.
Looks like that is the mealybug destroyer's larva. The mealybug destroyer is a beetle. And I actually was lucky enough. I walked in and this plant was right here and it had mealybugs on it. I said, shit, now I got well, it wasn't mealybug because they were walking around. And I've seen mealybugs a lot with a lot of daddy's crop collection and they don't walk around. They're pretty much pasted to where they're at and they're sucking on the plant.
So what are these?
Mealybug destroyer. And I got this picture. I didn't notice that beetle until I looked at the picture later because I was watching the little white guys and actually took a video of them crawling around. Because they crawl around as fast as the larva of the ladybug. But that is the beetle. Yeah, it's hard to see. But here, it's got an orange head, it's black with an orange head. And it, I apparently have them in my backyard because they put mealy bugs on my plant. Can I buy something? You can, there is a website that has them. Okay, yeah, it is. But no, I'd never ever heard of a mealy bug destroyer. I'd never seen mealy bugs crawling around eating aphids. Because they were eating aphids at the time. I had a little bit of rise up of aphids, and they showed up, and as well as the ladybugs actually came in, the adults came in and cleaned up that little, the next infestation that I had in the same crop. So, yes ma'am.
Do you order your mealy bugs from like Arbico or something like that?
This one I didn't, it's local.
Okay.
I didn't collect it. It collected me. And I only saw it because of these little mealy bugs that were crawling around eating aphids. So they're actually in the family of the ladybug. They're just little,
Yeah, they're
small.
little beetles.
Yeah,
I had
little
ordered
beetles.
some from Arbico before,
Okay.
and so I did get to see them when they were larvae crawling. I thought, oh my God, I got more mealy bugs. But,
That's right.
yeah, no, it's the larvae.
I'm not sure why they would have to look like mealy bugs for anything other than.
Maybe they can join the party.
But if anybody wants to know a supplier of them, I've been in contact with them. They are the only supplier in the United States and California, and they are the ones who ship it out to the other places that sell them.
Okay.
By an accident, they accidentally shipped something to me, and I called to tell them, wrong person, I didn't order any. And so now I've been in contact with them, so
Okay.
they are actually the ones who sell
Yeah,
to
it's-
other places.
Again, we have.
But you can
the
order
decision.
direct from them. It is Associates Insectary. Associates Insectary. And they're in California, and they offer a little small growers pack. The way the guy explained it, and he sent me a free pack for calling to tell him, hey, I didn't order, and you sent this to the wrong person. They had my address because I had bought some from Arbico, one of their resellers. So they had my address in their system, and somehow it got messed up, and they sent me a package, and I'm like, I didn't order this. So as a thank you, they sent me they do a growers pack that offers like mealybug destroyers, some of those parasitic wasps. And he explained, it's kind of like their leftovers at the end of the week. Whatever they don't sell, you can buy
They make a garden pack.
at a reduced price. So,
Do they ship all year long?
yeah, I believe so.
Well, the one,
Associates Insectary.
Eric.
Insectary. Insectary. So, but yeah, really nice people.
I had bought, the fact that I had bought released in my tomatoes, I bought from a place called Hydro Gardens
Okay.
in Colorado. They've gone, well, they actually got bought by somebody.
But they sent
They
me,
don't want to be a bad.
that's true.
They're gonna either go,
That's
they're gonna die or they're gonna.
I don't know, I know some folks can, so I don't know what they do in but yeah, they sent a nice little growers pack full of, the lacewings too. They gave me some of those, so they make a nice little pack of a variety of insects to cover everything, all your needs.
And I saw this in early spring.
Yeah.
We had, in late December, January, I had that infestation that the ladybugs took care of. This was a little later infestation that spring, and this little guy showed up, so. Yeah, I'll put the video in. You can see the little guy, the little white guy crawling all around.
Oh.
And, that's a pretty good giveaway that it's not a mealybug. It's a destroyer. Yeah, I had two of them going, and I didn't even know I had her in it until I looked at it. I wasn't watching that, or I was watching the other guy. Has anyone ever noticed this long-legged green fly?
After you told us about it, we noticed it.
Okay. Yeah, my son-in-law saw it on some cucumber plants that he was growing. And he had looked it up, and he told me about it, that he lives 4 miles down the road from me, so, him and my wife and my daughter, so they had noticed them, and they were lots of them for theirs. And like this says, they feed on aphids, thrips, and mosquitoes. Mosquitoes was an interesting one. That's right, yeah. But they're local. In Louisiana, I don't know where else. Yeah, this was just. Close up on my lettuce this winter. So I had a greenhouse, and I have a greenhouse, but I had both ends roll up, and I left it. I grew lettuce at 36 degrees. I had it in a water growing system that was 75 degrees. I kept the plants warm with the water that was in the growing system. Now, I had a collection of plants, and you can see that's on my patio. It's on my patio, and that's painted sky. And the big ones of that are 9 inches. No sun at all. I got those blooms on one plant. So you don't have to have sun. Now I was using RO water and mixing the fertilizer in the RO water, so I didn't see the problem with chlorine that I think some people may be struggling with, especially the newer members. If you're just using city water, you got to get a filter. I put some inline filters for RV treatment, and it's got a bed of carbon in it. And we've been told that they won't dry. Hibiscus flowers don't dry. Those two are that one. and I brought them to work, and I had them on my desk, and I noticed they didn't close up. Usually they close up, dry up, shrivel up. But they didn't do that. They just kept getting darker. And so I've got something that looks like a flower. It's brown, but it is a bit, you can tell it's a hibiscus flower. And that was probably 4 weeks old. So they held up once they dried out. This is just some comic relief. Has anyone ever done that to their turkey? And then this is the little greenhouses that I was doing. This white one was the green one. That was my first one. And that's where I had all the learning. And I saw one that had roll-up sides. Both sides rolled up. So I got a little bit of rain shed all summer, but I didn't really have to fight it, and it did a good job. But the other one, I had a closed back on. Well, actually, you can see the closed back here. I had a fan up here. The biggest problem with these little guys is the steel. The steel gets where you can't touch it, and it's radiating into the greenhouse. So with this, I didn't have it covered with plastic, so it didn't get as hot. But I've got the other one. This one was in too much shade for playing with the lettuce that I wanted to grow. So I put the other frame up, and I've since taken this one down.
Is that a kit that you bought? Is that a kit that you bought?
Amazon. Yeah, you can go on Amazon and search for 10 by 20 greenhouse, and you can get 1,000 of them.
Yeah, I see that, I've never seen the one with the roll-up plastic.
That's right, I would just go look through them and page through, and I found this double roll-up. And what I'm doing now is I've got both ends roll up. Both ends have full end doors, basically. And I've got a new one I'm getting ready to put on that has screening. So my next vegetable crop in there will be screened, completely screened. And the two big doors are big screens. I'm hoping that'll work. Yeah, try to keep the bugs out. I got massive bugs. Lots of bugs on the boards. They didn't really do anything to the plants, because I had to assess the bugs. I did, that's what I had on that one. I had the top part with the, yeah, it helped. Everything will help. I'm gonna paint the other one white. I'm gonna paint the white frame with insulating paint. It's actually got ceramic in it. It's the paint that was on the space shuttle. That white on the space shuttle had this ceramic, contained the ceramic so it didn't burn up. Probably what we should paint our house with. Now, I'll talk, I don't know if everyone's seen what I do to try and help the plants. I take a grow bag, which gives you plenty of air, plenty of oxygen. Roots need oxygen. When you flood them, they take all oxygen out of the water and they die once the oxygen is gone. And actually the anaerobic funguses come in. All the root rot is anaerobic once it has to have no oxygen. So I take a 3-gallon grow bag, I put about 2 inches of these grow balls in it. Yeah, the ceramic beads. And then pull the plant out of the pot. Don't touch it, just pull it out of the pot. Put it in the bag, and then fill it with dirt. And if you notice, that plant was blooming when I transplanted it. And it kept blooming. It didn't stop at all. Now, the biggest challenge that I think people that transplant have is you just put a whole bunch of new soil around the outside, right? But the root system is still in the middle. So when you water, you can water the whole thing, but you've got to make sure you water the center. And there's too much noise about overwatering hibiscus. You cannot overwater hibiscus. You can drown hibiscus roots, but you can't overwater a hibiscus as long as it's draining out. It's bringing new air in, it's bringing new oxygen in, it's doing everything good. And as long as the water's getting out the bottom, which it's impossible to hold it in a grow bag. Now, once I put that plastic bag around it, I gotta be careful with the holes in it, so I don't cover them all up. But,
Hey, Dan,
okay.
just to the point you were just making about you can't overwater. So, I'm gonna ask for a friend, shall I say? He's got good medium, got adequate holes, it's watering, there are 20 plants on whatever, all of the rest good, all he comes out, 2 of them wilted out.
Yes.
So,
Right.
what has happened?
What happened in that instance?
What do you think might be the
Cause the wilt.
What's the growing container? What's the container? What's the container of it?
is it terracotta?
That could be a problem. They don't have a lot of holes in the terracotta.
No, but
You
if
gotta make sure that one hole doesn't get clogged up.
If he does have a pot that is the right, and that happens.
Okay. First thing I do is pull the root system out. Just you get the root system out, pull it, look at it,
I'm just thinking.
see what it's doing. I mean, I can't tell you what can happen, but I know I see a lot of people that just transplanted into a bigger container. And they said the soil was wet and it looks like it dried out. What am I doing wrong? Well, they weren't watering what they had just transplanted. Don't ever think you're watering the whole pot.
So the size pots we have over here, we want to put them in a grow bag. What size grow bag?
3 gallon is what I would. Yeah, it's a good 2 inches around on that 6 inch. And
And do you use mycorrhizal?
but
It's, helps with the root system. MYCORRHIZAE.
is that the green, the ceramic
It's
bottle?
like a, you can buy it in liquid, it's granular, powder.
Okay.
And you can add it to your root system, and it's really,
Did it work? Does it work?
I love it,
Okay.
I love
I
it.
use that on big trees, pot, and make sure the roots are in that stuff.
Okay.
Some type of bacteria or something, whatever. Yeah, it's good stuff.
And what's the name of it?
MYCORRHIZA, mycorrhizal. I'll write it down.
Yeah, write it down. We always live and learn. Yeah, that was that one that I had just planted. This one had a couple of blooms. Actually, another plant behind it that has yellow flowers. That's painted sun. Painted sun is another good bloomer. And I planted all of these with the blooms on. And this guy was growing crooked out the pot. So I just put it in crooked. Oh, that's my daughter and her 3 grandkids.
It's what? It's fungi.
Fungi.
It's fungi. What?
And this is that deep water culture that I'm playing with. This is on March 3rd. So I grew those in February, and I left the greenhouse. I left it open at 36 degrees outside, but in the water in that system was warm to 75. So they actually, on the cold nights, the leaves had brought water up to the edges of the leaves, to the point where it was running off. And the plant was keeping itself warm by bringing up that warm water. It was pretty amazing. So tomatoes did that in my dad's greenhouse too. On the cold nights, there was water dripping from all the points. We ran them at 46. You can't do tomatoes at 46. And I did a full crop. In 4 months, I had 20 pounds of tomatoes in the plant. So it worked. And that'll save a whole bunch of money when I start growing tomatoes. And I'm not going to be eating the air, I'm going to be eating the water. So that's my presentation. Well, they're clays. They're porous. They hold water, and they've actually got a black center, which is catalytic. It'll help catalytically. Yeah, about 2 inches. Yeah, and you can't take that way. Yeah, all you're trying to do is keep yourself from being able to hold water on the roots. And the roots don't really go down in it much, from what I've seen. They stay in the soil. So far, what I'm saying. All right. Thank you.
it.